All right, so we are at the top of our hour. Dan, I know this is being recorded, correct?
Correct.
All right, welcome. Welcome, everyone. My name is David Munoz. I'm a very proud Synergy distributor, and it's my honor every chance I get to share some of my experiences, share some of my stories about the Synergy journey, as I call it, or life journey. And today we're going to talk about growing old young and some of the things we can do as part of our life, as part of our lifestyle to grow old young. So I'm going to give you 3 tips on how some of the things you can do. There's a lot more things, but the things I do to help me stay young or young at heart. People may look at me and say, like Timothy, well, you don't look young, but that's okay. I feel young. So if there were no such thing as a calendar, how old would you be? Right? So that being said, as you can see on the first slide, we here at Synergy believe in growing old young. We believe in growing young as a mindset. We believe in keeping a strong, healthy body and growing old young. And part of the things I do to grow old young, you'll see there in the first slide, one of the young early years in Synergy, and I'm going on my 10th year proudly, is just taking pictures as part of my social media page and part of my sending a message. When I send a message with those pages is that we can stay young and feel young, even though we're getting older. So let's begin here. So growing old young, a lot of people try to think it's about money. Not necessarily. It's nice to have money if you manage it well. It's great to grow old young with money, but it's not about money, not about jewelry or cars. You can climb the success ladder, and that is thrilling, but not necessarily keep you young. And certainly partying and vices is not. Those are just nice to participate once in a while, but not necessarily. Growing old young is about being happy. And I'll say it one more time. Growing old young is about being happy in everything you do. And that doesn't mean people that will not have difficult seasons in their life and seasons of sadness, certainly. But the mindset we have will eventually propel us back to a feeling of happiness and being content. So what was the happiest day in your life? If I could possibly ask you that question. Don't unmute yourselves yet because we're not at that slide where I want you to be an interactive session. But think about what were well, I got several happy days in my life. The day I married my wonderful wife, Betsy, the day I had my son, Brian, and my 3 daughters, Ruth, Kelly, and Roxy. And the day, of course, I had the opportunity to make a transition in my career. My goodness, I got out of that place and I told my buddy, come outside and take a picture of me before I leave, because this was a day where I felt freedom. At this time, which was about 2014, Halloween 2014, not too long ago, I got out of there and I said, wow, my telephone is buzzing, because by that time I had started my Synergy career. I had been on the radio. People had heard about the power of nitric oxide therapy, and I was excited to start the new transition. And that is why, that was the feeling why. And I knew I was going into a new mindset. All of a sudden, I wasn't going to depend upon a salary. I was going to depend upon income. And I couldn't wait to get started with a life of income rather than salary. So one of the first things I did was I surrounded myself, and we'll talk about this a little bit better a little bit later in another slide, but certainly surround yourself with people of the same mindset, the same kind of ambitions that you share, the same opinions of life in general that you share. When I joined something called a Team 6, and I remember Dan Hammer, Gene LaValle, and Judy was there, and Bob Wishheimer, and just a few of us that were there from the beginning. And we had that Team 6 meeting, and I went through it, and it was just wonderful. One of the things we must do, and I want to warn you, most of this presentation is not about Synergy, but it's all about Synergy because we are part of Synergy. But one of the first slides I want to share is this one. We must be a product of the product. I say that all the time. We could talk all we want about growing old young. We could talk about protecting our bodies and increasing our immune system and helping our cardiovascular health. But if we're not product of the product, obviously, we're not really sending the right message. So before I say anything, the first thing you got to do in Grow Old Young is make sure you keep your body as young as you can, drink your supplements, live by them, share them, and make sure that the people around you know that you stay healthy because you have good daily habits of proper supplementation with quality Synergy products. Okay, let's talk about the brain. Word for the day. This is what I learned in preparing these slides. There's a word called neuroplasticity, which is the brain's ability to modify, change, adapt both structure and function throughout life in response to experience. And there's certain chemicals that the brain feeds itself off of or produces, which causes certain feelings. I learned that neuroplasticity, it means that the brain is actually not an organ that stays, it's a muscle. It's a muscle that actually takes action as you feed it. So let's talk about the different chemicals. The dopamine, which is a chemical that rewards you, makes you feel like you've accomplished something, eating food. I'm sorry about that. All right, achieving a goal, completing a task, that rewards you. And we'll talk about that in a minute. Oxytocin, the love hormone. Won't say too much about that, except I love it, right? Socializing, physical touch, petting, animals, helping others. We have the endorphin, which is the painkiller. If someone is feeling pain, guess what? They may still feel pain, but not as much if they're exercising, listening to music, watching a movie, laughing, playing with kids, telling jokes. Those things actually ease the pain. And serotonin, which is the mood stabilizer. And it's helps with the just being outside. Take advantage of the weather we have. Even if it is walking a dog, which is not my favorite pastime, but hey, I'm outside, I'm walking around, I'm enjoying it. I find that I have a lot of fun because we take advantage of the summer concerts. My wife and I go out there and we just hear great music and we get to enjoy the ambiance. We take our folding chairs and enjoy it. So you must keep the brain busy and with positive chemicals being produced all the time. So here we go. Here are the 3 tips to help you grow old young by David Munoz. All right, aside from taking the daily supplements and just being conscious, never let an old person move into your body. Grow your mind and be young at heart. That has a lot to do with your mindset. So here we go. I'm going to say 5 different things that I feel are great and I practice that really helps you stay young. First of all, when you go to a restaurant, a lot of people ask for a senior menu. I ask for a senior discount. But if you ask for a senior menu, no, I order from the kids menu. Why? Because I don't want to fill myself up too much. And the kids menu is more fun and usually cheaper. Try new foods from different cultures. I wrote something there in parentheses called a jibarito. It's a sandwich made of 2 plantains, steak, lettuce, tomatoes, and it's 2 fried plantains. I eat it maybe 2 or 3 times a year because it is big and it is delicious, but certainly new foods. And you try different restaurants. Sometimes I wish my spouse was more inclined to go to Vietnamese restaurants and to go to just different cultures to try different foods. I love doing that. Number 3 is something I learned from Grant Cardone. He's a motivational speaker, a multimillionaire. Grant Cardone says you got to beat the sun, meaning you may not do it all the time, but I do it 3 times a week. I get up before sunrise, and I beat the sun to the fitness center. And I'm in the fitness center before the sun rises. And when I get out of that fitness center, I see the sun. And it's just really nice to be able to do that and have the opportunity to do that. So if you don't belong to a health club or you don't have a workout routine, you know what? You might consider beating the sun, getting out of the house, joining a club, and it makes the whole rest of your day so like motivating and exciting. because you've accomplished the first thing of the day. Treat yourself to some new luxury items. You know, when my daughters call me and say, hey, Dad, what do you want for Father's Day? What do you want for Christmas? You know, what do you want? I says, well, if you want to give me something, I don't have to have it, but give me an Amazon gift card. And guess what, guys? I have Amazon credits. So when I feel like buying a nice new stand on for my laptop that lifts up the laptops and puts it at an angle like I'm looking at right now, I said, that is so cool. How much does it cost? Oh, $39. Let me see how many credits I have on my Amazon gift card. Hey, I can get it for free. It's a great feeling. So you've controlled your budget and you're able to reward yourself with niceties. And keep your sense of humor. One of the things I regret most in life is not finishing college. I went to college at night as a young man because I married at 19 and it was a complicated life. But I took the classes I needed to expand my career, but I did not get a degree. So a lot of times when I'm asked, Dave, what college did you go to? I use humor. And then, of course, I explain. My kids have gone to college. They've got their degrees, thank God. I was not, and that's unfortunate, but I say I went to a very rare Italian university called What's the Matter You? So, of course, everybody laughs. And I say, let me explain, you know, this is what happened. So, but still, I'm very grateful for the education I have, but we all keep it as a sense of humor. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. This is the jibarito sandwich I was talking to you about. It's out of order, but it's okay. So again, a couple times a year. I wouldn't recommend it too often. All right, so continue with tip number 1, protect your mind. This is a repeat, my apologies. All right, this is the one I wanted. Our good friend George Burns says, first you forget your names, then you forget faces. Then you forget to pull up your zipper, and finally you forget to pull it down. So I thought this slide was very appropriate for a guy that lives to be 99 and a half. I think he died just short of 100. Here's another guy that impresses me. One of my favorite presidents of all times, Ronald Reagan, and he was at the Reagan-Mondale debate. If you remember, if you were there in the Reagan-Mondale debate, I'm going to tell you something. You are old. So welcome to my world. And he was asked, because he was, I believe, 79. And he said, you know, one of the concerns of your running for president is, can you take it? You know, are you ready, you know, to take on the challenge? And his response was this: I'm not going to exploit, because his political opponent was Walter Mondale, which is younger. And he said, he quipped this: I'm not going to exploit for political purposes my opponent's youth and inexperience. I thought that was amazing. You know, I had never seen a debate like that. And of course, Ronald Reagan was an actor before, so he was ready for that question. Funny guy, and we miss him. All right, so tip number 2, let's move on. Check your organs, okay? Now, before you think I'm talking about these, no, not these at all, no. Not this one either, not this organ. I'm talking about your social organs, and I alluded to this earlier. This guy, Earl Nightingale, I had all of his cassettes. Again, if you remember cassettes, you are old. But I had this very early in my banking career, got his cassettes, and he had about 10 different cassettes, and it was about the way you think. And he said, you become what you think about all day long. And that goes on to the earlier point I had made. We become what we think about when we surround ourselves with 5 or 6 people who think like we want to think, not who think like us, think like we want to think. I enjoy meetings that I have with my upline, Dan Hammer. Why? Because he has a lot of skill sets I'd love to have, right? So we talk about it, we plan together. I enjoy surrounding myself in my other career in the insurance industries with people that know more about insurance than I do. I want to know what they use for marketing. I want to know how they overcome objections. It's important that we surround ourselves with people that are going to help us grow. And I can tell you that sometimes I'm around people in certain organizations that I belong with, that I ask myself, how can I best help them, and then leave? Because Sometimes I feel I'm not helping myself by being part of that organization. Okay, here we go. Check your social organs: tennis, yoga, biking. Do you have those? Do you participate? I don't, not all of them. Do I want to? Yes, given the time. Right now, I'm limiting myself to certain activities. One activity I did try was join a judo club. It was called Hapkido. That was about a couple of years ago, right before the pandemic hit. And in this judo, I was there with a whole bunch of young people, and we practiced stretching. I was good at that. We practiced flipping people over. I was pretty good at that. But we got to practice slamming people down to the mat. I said, I'm not good at this. So still, it was fun, and it was great participating with younger people. Take a kid to lunch. But before you do, we're going to take a quiz in just a minute. So we're going to have another slide. And this is the one where I want everybody to unmute yourself if you know the answer. So before you take a kid to lunch, you need to know this one slide. But certainly taking a kid to lunch is just so gratifying because of the converse. When you're ready for the conversation, kids think at a whole different level. And I'm talking about kids from 4 to 6 to 10 to teenage years, somebody younger than you. By the way, I love that slide on the right-hand side. If you see me, I'm there. That's during my Florida trip where I am arm wrestling with my great-grandson, Eli, while my grandson is slamming me on the back because I was giving him a horsey ride and he wanted me to continue. That was fun. All right, so let's keep going here. All right, read books. I'm reading one called Verbal Judo right now that talks about how to engage people through conversation, be a better listener, how to defuse a verbal attack. Great book. I recommend it. I read a book called Atomic Habits, which it goes along the lines of The Slight Edge, which I hope everybody here read. That is a book that helps us change our daily habits in a positive way so that we grow. Atomic Habits is along the same lines, but it brings us to the forefront of what we're doing these days. Helps our business. And Giftology. I recently went to a conference in Texas where John Ruhlin was speaking, and he shared a story of how he became very successful simply by learning how to give personalized gifts. Very interesting reading. And of course, I've put it into practice to a degree, but it certainly helps send a message of how much we value our customers. All right. The moment has come, everybody. Are you ready to unmute yourselves? Don't unmute yourselves yet unless you know the answers. So before you take a kid to lunch, here is the first one. What does this mean? Dope in kid language. 10 seconds. All right, write it down. It's cool or awesome. Hey, Dan, you're dope. All right. So, goat. You guys know this. We've heard it in church. Who's the greatest of all times, right? Jesus, right? Okay, the next one. Unmute yourself if you know. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, here we go. Gucci, kids language. Cool, good, going well. Write these down when you take that kid to lunch. Say, hey, I have an idea. I want to test you to see if you knows what these words mean. You will just have a great 5 minutes of conversation right there. Lit. When I was younger, we had words like groovy. Oh my God, groovy. And when people were lit, in my generation, when they were lit, they were high. They were like, but in this generation, it means the person is amazing, exciting. The final one. Salty. Unmute yourself if you know. We got to have more kids in our webinars here. All right, it means bitter, angry, agitated. Okay, so here we go. You've learned 5 new words, 6, because that one about the brain is the 6th one today. Tip number 3, we're winding up, rounding third and headed home. Do something for others, for crying out loud. Give back. You know, one of the things that irks me sometimes is when I converse with individuals who speak how long they've been poor. And I think poverty is a mindset in most cases, unless, of course, you have a learning disability. But poverty is a mindset, and I feel that we have to put ourselves in a position like Romans 12:2 says in the Bible. It says, do not be satisfied or content right now, rather be transformed. No, be changed by the transformation of your mind, renewal, as I say, of your mind. So we're called upon to renew our mind, grow our mind, and get to the point where we're no longer in a poverty level. Rather, we're in a position where we can give. And it sure feels good to give rather than to ask or to need. So teaching, volunteering, influencing, joining food pantries, participating, or even driving up to kids who want to wash your car. You're giving them something back. You're supporting their cause. Obviously, in my faith, we give our tithes and offerings, or we participate in food pantries. It's all part of growing old young. Stay active, be involved, and think about the next things you can do to be a blessing to the world.
Growing old young.
Growing old young. You got to mute yourself, sir. We're coming through. All right. So, with all your mind, okay, someone once asked Jesus, hey, what is the one thing, if there was a big takeaway we could take of all your lessons, all putting together one, he quoted Deuteronomy, I can't say it in English, but Deuteronomy 6:5. It is, and thou shalt love thy Lord thy God with all thy heart, mind, and soul. But look what Jesus said. Jesus added in Mark 12:13, he added, you shall love the Lord God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and with all your strength. So he knew the value of protecting our minds and making our minds grow. And in the process, of course, he added that as the quote. Grow young. So guys and gals of my younger mindset, this is my presentation. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it's been fulfilling to you. You've added words to your vocabulary. And now, if you wish, you can unmute yourself. I won't ask for, if you want to ask questions, you may ask questions, but I wanted to know what you're doing in your world, in your ambiance to stay young. And I know that Dan's going to unmute himself and talk about the number of kids he's got in his house.
Yes, David, I've got a lot of kids in my house, so I definitely get to see kids every day. And one of the things that I learned, David, you talk about growing old young. For us older adults, I see this and it makes a big difference. Most older adults will bend over to talk to kids. If you will just bend down and get at their eye level and talk to kids, it makes a huge difference. You'll find that you'll connect with those kids at a different level because you brought yourself down to their level instead of them having to look up to you and look down to them. No, you're both at the same eye level, and it's a completely different conversation and a completely different engagement, which, because we take supplements, we should be able to have the leg strength and we should have knees that are able to still bend so that we can get down to the level of our kids. And what you were doing with your grandchildren, playing with them on the floor, I'm in a house with 2 years to 12 years, and you play with them. They like to roughhouse. They like to engage physically. And so not only does it create bonds, but it also keeps you young.
It does. Judy, I know you go to Florida often to see your is it grandchild?
So Judy can't get herself on mute, but she did
Ah.
put in the chat box, become an Airbnb host.
Okay, there you go. That's interesting. Because you can, yeah, you can meet a lot of different people and you can give back.
Sure.
Mhm. Anyone else want to chime in with any comments or that they might have about what they do to grow young?
They'll need to unmute themselves if they
Oh,
want
yeah.
to.
No worries, but I guess the biggest takeaway is that we are asked all the time, or at least I'm asked all the time, and I'm sure if we are all part of the Synergy business, we're asked all the time when we're in social environments and when we're talking with people that are our age group, sometimes younger, they look at you and they say, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" Those four words. What are you doing? I get this a lot when I talk with some of my customers on Zoom, and we see each other across the screen. What are you doing to stay young? And that's a great opportunity for us to share the power of the Synergy product we take. And of course, I show you a disclaimer. I said I loved it so much that I actually am a distributor for these products, but this is what I do. And I talk about nitric oxide, and I talk about the power of vitamin D3, and I talk about the omega-3. I've taken that for years and years and years, even before I joined Synergy. Just all those things that keep you young, and you want to share those things not only because it helps your business, that's the goal that you want to do, share with them and improve their own quality of life of the person you're talking to, so that they too can enjoy the feeling of growing old young. I can say in conclusion that because of my experience with Synergy, my biological clock has been reversed, meaning, or not necessarily reversed, but certainly slowed down immensely. And a lot of times reversed because nitric oxide therapy, as we know, does have a quality that heals you, that repairs the damages to your system. And I'm a living, breathing testimony of that repair and that aging reversal process. That being said, guys, I just want to thank everyone for joining us this morning and taking your time. And hopefully this has been, if not a learning experience, certainly enlightening for you and enjoying a little bit about the humor I share. Any other questions before we close out?
Yes, please.
Yes, sir. Timothy, what's going on?
I believe that I am the oldest person on the call today.
I didn't know you turned 90.
Almost. It happened on the 6th of August, so look out. But the only thing that I really enjoy is using the products.
Right.
And and when I'm asked for an empty box, I look and say, "Don't you use the product?" But I enjoy using the products. I got a full range here in the office, a full range at home, and it is not difficult. Take out a stick, uncap a container, and use the products.
Yes, that's great. So you share it that way.
So Timothy, I'm going to step out and ask you a question. Since you have all this life experience, would you say that because you have purpose in your life, it's helped keep you young?
Yes, giving back and helping others. I never, just let me give you a quick story here. Broad Street is like Broadway in Barbados. I walking down the street, a guy asked me for something and I sort of half ignore him. Then I turn back and give him a couple dollars. And the man said, "You giving away your money?" I said, "Before the sunset, somebody gonna pay me money." Before the sunset, somebody called me and asked me to sell them some air purifiers.
Wow. A beautiful story.
And I found it all the time. We trying to diss people who ask you for money. But sometimes, even if they go and buy things that you wouldn't approve of them buying,
Mhm.
I always get that 10% coming back.
You reap
Cast
what you
your
sow.
bread, cast your bread on the water, and it will come back to you not only many days, but several days.
You remind me of another story, if I may share it, Timothy. I wanted to do something all my life that I had never done, and I did it only once. And as you know, we are called to bless people and give back. And I decided that I would take my son to two different places. We went to Denny's and we went to IHOP. And I said, this month, part of my giving back is going to include something I've always wanted to do, which is bless a waiter. And so we went to IHOP and we sat down together. And I said, we're going to order something, and then we're going to pay and give a $100 bill tip to whoever we serviced. And so the first one of the IHOP, the lady was middle-aged, and she was laid off from a previous job, and she was waitressing, and she was shocked that we said, we just wanted to bless you today. So we just want you to take this and use it whichever way you want. She said, oh, thank you. And she just was very nonchalant about it. And when she went into the kitchen, we heard her screaming. So that was pretty nice. Then we went to the Denny's and we did the same thing. This time it was a young person. She looked to be about 21. And this was really impactful because my son did the honors, as I call it. And again, we only did this one time. And when he gave her the $100 bill tip, he said, we wanted to bless you today. And the girl just broke down. She broke down. It was significant that she hugged my son. We don't know what's going on with people's lives. All we know that we've been blessed, and it's great to share and give back. So that's a story I wanted to share because it's something that came to mind, and it just shows the things we can do to impact people's lives outside of the Synergy products we have, which we bless them. But sometimes people are going through stuff that we don't even know. So that was a lot of fun. I said I did it once. I might do it again one time, but I don't want to certainly make a habit of doing that. But Gil, like Timothy did, he gave a couple of bucks. We do that all the time. We do give it because I heard a sermon one time that said we don't know when Christ disguises a beggar is out there, or sends an angel disguised as a beggar to test us. So we don't want to fail that test. So we do have to share wherever we can. Okay, I've gone off the subject, but any other questions that anyone wishes, or comments anyone wishes to share before we sign off for today?
Just a comment. I first want to apologize. I didn't realize I was not muted.
Okay, no worries.
And because I'm connecting from another device today. I'm connecting from my cell phone. And Timothy and I heard him say August 6th. So we shared the same birth date recently.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Same birth date and the same age too, right?
No, yes, he's older than that. No, he's older than me. Oh no!
Well,
I apologize. I'm the oldest person. No.
Okay, all right then.
I'll state my age. I'm 74.
I think I touched a nerve. I think I touched a nerve there.
No, you didn't. I love to share my age because it's part of my story, and I'm very, very grateful to be alive this year. In fact, my father, he passed at 75. So knowing what I know, I'm fairly confident that that I would reach his and eclipse his age.
Great.
But thanks to Synergy that I'm able to share these products.
Totally agreed. All right, folks.
Thanks, David.
Anything else? You're very welcome. It's been my pleasure, and it's been a lot of fun. Anything else before we sign off for today? All right, guys. Well, you just have a wonderful day. Let's get going and make a difference in people's lives through our synergy business and through our personal lives. So thank you, everyone.